All right, today we're going to talk about finding additive and multiplicative relationships. So when we have an equation that is y equals something, we can say that our equations are either going to be additive or multiplicative. So when we have an additive relationship, it's going to say that y equals x plus a. And we're going to say that a is a variable, which means that it's a number. Okay, it does not go through the origin. And remember that the origin is 0, 0. Okay, and the values can be found by either adding or subtracting. You can do either one. You can add or subtract. So when we have a graph like this, it's going to start somewhere. So we're going to say this is my first point, and then it's going to go out consistently. But notice it's not starting down here, okay, for additive. For a multiplicative relationship, our multiplicative relationship is that a times x, and this a this time is called our coefficient. And a coefficient just simply means that it's the number before the x, before the variable. If it is multiplicative, it does go through the origin. So it will always go through 0, 0. And these can be found by multiplying or dividing. So it is going to start down here this time, and it's going to go out at whatever angle, depending on what that number is. Okay. All right, for this bottom part, it says the independent variable. So we've talked about independent variables before. So the independent variable determines the value of a dependent variable, and it is always represented on the x-axis. So independent determines the value of a dependent and is always represented on the x-axis. Our dependent variable is a change in response to the independent. And it is always represented on the y-axis. Okay. And then it says the dependent variable, which is the y, is changed by the independent variable, and I'm abbreviating them. You can type them out if you want. Independent variable, which is the x. So again, that's not anything new. That's what we talked about before. So that's not anything new down there. Okay, so the dependent variable is changed by the independent variable. So remember we talked about how the dependent variable is the outcome, and the independent variable is the thing that we're physically changing. Okay. All right, going on to the next slide, and let me erase here. All right, we have some word problems here, and we're going to find the rule for them, and then we're going to say whether they're additive or multiplicative, okay? So we're gonna look at the problem here. It says, Mrs. Sanchez adds 5 points to everyone's test grade. So right here where she adds 5 points, and no, Miss Sanchez doesn't actually do this. Where it says add 5 points, this is going to be how we create our rule. Okay, so our rule is going to be that y equals whatever the test score is, so x, plus what she's adding to it, which is 5. So y equals x plus 5. So the x is the original test grade. The y is the new test grade. Okay. And I got them from down here where This says the original test score, and this says, it says final, but I said new, okay? So if we look at this one, if we start with 70, so x is 70, what is 70 plus 5? Well, that's easy. It's 75. Okay, and then 90. 90 plus 5 would be 95. And then 100 plus 5 would be 105. And again, you guys have text boxes there where you can type into them. I just don't have them on mine. So if you notice down here, if you scored a 0 on your test, you would really get a 5. So it does not go through the origin, which tells us that this, between that and this addition sign right here, tells us that this relationship type would be additive. Okay, so this relationship type is additive. All right, if we look at the next one, it says Carly earns $7.25 for every hour she babysits. So this $7.25 for every hour, this is our rule. Okay, wherever the number is, that's our rule. Okay. Our X is going to represent our hours, and our Y is going to represent our money that we make. Okay, so this time if she makes $7.25 for every hour, that means we're going to have to do 725 times X. So 7.25X. Then we're going to solve this. So if Carly works 0 hours, is she going to make any money? No, it's going to be 0. If Carly works for 5 hours, we're going to have to do some multiplying. So we're going to do 7.25 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36. We're going to move this 2 decimal places, so 1, 2. And it's going to be $36.25. Okay, and the last one is if Carly worked 10 hours. So again, we're going to do 7.25 times 10. So we're going to skip the 0 and just add a 0 down here. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2, 7 times 1 is 7. Then we're going to move it 1, 2. So 1, 2 would be $72.50. So if you look, this time our graph does start at the origin at 0, 0, because when she worked 0 hours, she made $0. And to find this answer, we were multiplying. So that makes this answer multiplicative. All right, so make sure you guys finish these notes up and then go ahead and go to Schoology and complete your assignment for today. Have a good day, guys.